Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything podcast, and in this episode I'm going to be continuing looking at the Big Finish news of July and August 2024. So in the last episode I talked about the death and life of Riversong Last Words, which was released on the 16th of August 2024, and then I talked about Torchwood Endgame, which was released on the 20th of August 2024. We're now only moving another day, so to the 21st of August 2024, which was when The War Doctor Rises, Morbius the Mighty was released. Let's have a look at what the press release for this was, which is titled The War Doctor vs Morbius. Two notorious and disavowed Time Lords face off in an epic full-cast audio adventure available now from Big Finish Productions. The War Doctor, played by Jonathan Carley, returns today in Morbius the Mighty, the first box set in the brand new series The War Doctor Rises. The Time War is raging on, and the Doctor is hardened from many battles against the Daleks, but now, as he recovers from being poisoned, he has a new and deadly foe to deal with. Morbius, voiced by Samuel West, the BAFTA-nominated actor known for All Creatures Great and Small and Slow Horses. Morbius the Mighty, written by Tim Foley, continues the title character's story from Dark Gallifrey Morbius. The Time Lord Tyrant is back once again, and this time in the midst of the last great Time War. He has a growing ambition to become ruler of a chaotic universe, as well as a vendetta against the Doctor, but neither of them has counted on a third power watching and skimming from the sidelines. Here we have the synopsis for The War Doctor Rises, Morbius the Mighty. The War Doctor has been forced out of the fight, and the battle has moved on in his absence. There are new powers, new anomalies, and new excuses from him to keep his distance. With only Cora, his nurse, to keep him company on the forest planet of Lul, the War Doctor is content to leave his old life behind. But something is stirring in the depths of a twisted planet. An old embittered foe nurses a terrible grudge against the Doctor, and when a chance encounter gives this enemy the chance to escape, nobody is safe in his quest for vengeance. Through the depths of the stormy valley, Morbius will rise. Also starring in Morbius the Mighty are Sheila Ruskin, who you may know from The Keeper of Traken, a Fifth Doctor story, as well as I, Claudius, and the Doctor's nurse, Cora, who is voiced by Gareth Armstrong, who you may know from The Mask of Mandalorian, which was a Doctor Who story, as well as Blake Seven as Morbius's lackey Judd. Oh no, I've said that wrong. Sheila Ruskin plays Cora, Gareth Armstrong plays Judd. Pamela Nafti, who you may know from Andor, plays the mysterious 181. Theo Solomon, who you may know from Temple, plays Harvey, and Nicholas Briggs plays the Daleks. Jonathan Carley said, Morbius is a legendary character in Doctor Who, so to throw that character, a big Time Lord tyrant, into the Time War is a recipe for high-stakes action drama. The history between Morbius and the Doctor is huge, and to go up against him is a big deal. It's a bit intimidating. He's from a different time. Before the Time Lord stepped back and said, okay, we're going to put some rules in here, and he didn't like it. He was the original rebel, and now he's back at the worst possible time. The Time War, and could destabilise everything. He's got no love for the Daleks, no love for the Time Lords, and he wants to take his rightful place as supreme power in the universe. Samuel West, the BAFTA-nominated actor who plays Morbius, added, you can't keep a bad Time Lord down, can you? He has history, you understand how he became who he is, but he's still totally sociopathic and will calmly and enjoyably pull the wings off flies. Morbius has an obsession with the Doctor and a complex about being unworthy, and what he really needs is a lie down on a nice couch and some care, but he doesn't get that. He gets lots of people telling him he's marvellous, and so his obsessions grow and take him over. The explosions have to be bigger, the conquering needs to be more total, and the victories need to be absolute. And the second War Doctor Rises box set during December is actually titled Unknown Soldiers, which is some new information which I didn't know, which is great to get stuff like that. So coming up next, we'll be going over to apparently it's called that, but if you go onto the page, it's not called that, so we don't know. But next up, we're looking at Vortex magazine, which, as a reminder, is the official Big Finish magazine, which is absolutely free, which you can find on the Big Finish website. Let's read what it had to say about the War Doctor Rises, Morbius the Mighty. When Big Finish announced the War Doctor Begins was coming to an end, there was great sadness across fandom, but that despair was soon replaced by joy after it was announced that a brand new series, The War Doctor Rises, would move his story into the next phase. In the first volume, Morbius the Mighty, the War Doctor, doesn't have it easy as an old enemy returns. The War Doctor has been forced out to the fight, and the battle has moved on in his absence. There are new powers, new anomalies, and new excuses for him to keep his distance. With only Cora, his nurse, keeping company on the forest planet of Lull, the War Doctor is content to leave his old life behind, but something stirring in the depths of a twisted planet, an old and bitter foe harbours a terrible grudge against the Doctor, and when a chance encounter gives this enemy the chance to escape, no one is safe in his quest for vengeance. From the depths of the Sunny Valley, Morbius will rise. Morbius the Mighty also serves as a sequel to Dark Gallifrey Morbius, as the tyrannous Time Lord emerges into a very different era and seeks a bit of revenge on his foe. And if that wasn't enough, a third power with their own agenda watches from the shadows, returning to Big Finish to portray Morbius on audio is BAFTA-nominated actor Samuel West, who you may know from Slow Horses and All Creatures Great and Small, and the wonderful Jonathan Carley once again gives voice to the War Doctor, played by the late Sir John Hurt on television, obviously that being in the 50th anniversary special titled The Day of the Doctor. Producer David Richardson tells Vortex, "We're journeying through the War Doctor's life in phases. We've heard what happened immediately after he regenerated on Khan and experienced the subsequent initial adventures in this new form. Now we're sometime later on in his life. He has settled into his skin. He is more sure-footed and ready to take on all that Skaro and Gallifrey might throw at." I'm just going to read that last sentence again because I don't know where I got up to. He is set into his skin, he is more sure-footed and ready to take on all that Skaro and Gallifrey may throw at him. This first box set is a single 3-hour story, The War Doctor Rises, and so does Morbius. As for him, it's after the events of Dark Gallifrey. What we have is a battle between two titans, except one of them, the Doctor, is in form and recuperating from being poisoned. So Dark Gallifrey is a new series for Big Finish, which will release April to September. One hour-long release every month for 2024, 25, 26, 27, only between April and September. So this year we had Morbius in April, May and June, and in July, August and September we have the War Master. We will have trilogies also featuring Missy, played by Michelle Gomez, and the Master, played by Eric Roberts, with others to be announced. But yes, that's a little time just to explain what Dark Gallifrey is. It's a Tim Foley script, so of course it's packed with real ideas, detailed settings and glorious dialogue. Director Bethany Wimers has assembled a fantastic cast for Morbius the Mighty, which also features Sheila Ruskin, who was in Doctor Who, the Keeper of Traken, as well as I, Claudius as Cora, Gareth Armstrong, who you may know from Doctor Who, The Mask of Mandoria, as well as Blake Seven as Judd, Pandit Navetti, who you may know from the Star Wars series available on Disney Plus Andor as 181, Theo Solomon, who you may know from Temple as Heaving, and regular Doctor Who monster voice Nicholas Briggs as the Daleks. Writer Tim was delighted to be given the chance to write a full set, pitching the old Time Lord rivals against one another. He says, "David gave me complete freedom to pitch an epic adventure for the War Doctor. He's wonderful like that. It's great the way he's been pushing this writer-led approach across the Doctor's different ages. I was asked if I could write for Morbius again following the events of Dark Gallifrey, as I felt he was justified a return. He's a military general from the Time Lord's history whilst they're fighting their biggest war yet. It felt like there's tons to explore there. I really got my teeth into Morbius in Dark Gallifrey, the way he approached everything, that ego of his that was bubbling out over the script. There was just so much more of him that I wanted to share. Because Dark Gallifrey Morbius was inspired by Frankenstein, it also felt like a natural fit to put Morbius into this new epic story. A large part of Morbius the Mighty is inspired by Star Trek's The Wrath of Khan, which has its genesis in Moby Dick. Both are fabulous revenge stories which basically boil down to a one-on-one. I considered what Morbius was angry at the War Doctor for, what was driving him, and that's where the drama stems from. How did Tim feel about getting to shape the entire box set on his own? He tells Vortex, I loved it, it scratches a different bit of your brain. I enjoyed working in a gang on a box set or a miniseries, but it's a real delight when you go into your own writing tour and emerge with a great big adventure. The War Doctor is a tricksy incarnation to write for because he was barely seen on television. Everybody has their own idea of who this Doctor is. I was intrigued how dark I'd be allowed to go. The BBC are never going to allow a good-toting Rambo-style anti-hero, but there are other ways of ramping up the ruthlessness. This box set is one of his rising. He's going to be scaling some truly dark heights, with Tim particularly enjoyed Pity's Doctor against Morbius, especially given his more ruthless side. He says, I think all Doctors do well with a villainous fall. We have this with the War Doctor and the Barber Surgeon and Ron Valentine's. The War Doctor begins, he who fights the monsters. I think Morbius works as the perfect antagonist to the Doctor. They're both Time Lord outsiders who made their mark, and they're both in the wrong fight. The Doctor shouldn't be a warrior, and Morbius certainly shouldn't be in this Time War. In a nutshell, Morbius wants revenge, and he's going to stop at nothing to get it. Making a welcome return to the Gators and battered leatherjacket of the War Doctor's actor Jonathan, who has won universal acclaim for his performance. Vortex asked him how it felt being back in the part now he has been able to fully establish himself in the role. Jonathan says, without wanting to sound too blasé, it just felt like getting back into the flow. When we finished The War Doctor Begins, we'd recorded 18 episodes, which is a lot, but it meant we had a good rhythm going by that point. The main thing for me now is a sense of confidence, acceptance and enjoyment. Having the range renewed was highly validated. I've known about it for a long time now. Admittedly, we've made people sweat a bit, but what great compliment is then to have the audience who've been so generous and receptive, all but begging for more. I do apologise to all those I've had to lie to. I knew about the new direction was excited. We now know we can really challenge character myself and push the stories to some extreme places. The War Doctor Begins saw the Doctor finding his feet as he learnt that his way of thinking was different. Having been engineered to take part in the Time War in this next set, he's fully established himself and knows his own mind, Jonathan explains. The War Doctor began for a long time. I think he's cooked now. He's kind of entering his prime. He's let the Doctor go. He's over the breakup. Now he's going to be less precious and perhaps less arrogant and reckless, and we're pretty much faced with the consequence of that in Morbius Mighty, where he's become a casualty. Invalidated and a very bad patient, precisely because he's incapable of doing the very job he's determined to see through now, relegated to being an observer. His worst nightmare, finding out the War Doctor was facing Morbius, really raised the stakes. But then, for me as an actor, I was wondering, is Sam going to reprise his role, or will we see a new incarnation? I heard him play Morbius in the 8th Doctor Adventures when I was in college. He really fleshed him out in a more nuanced and complex character, more than just a monster. So when it was confirmed that Sam was coming back, I was both excited and quite intimidated because it's Sam West. He's one of the finest actors in the country, but everyone said how lovely he was and that he was a big Doctor Who fan. So I knew I'd be in good company. However, disaster struck the day before recording when I tested positive for COVID-19 and had to pull out of the session. Ironically, I was genuinely invalidated from the war, so I missed the chance to meet the man, the myth, the Morbius. I was gutted, but I did get to hear some extracts from the recording. You can tell he was having great fun. There's reason if there ever was for a rematch. Morbius strikes back. The actor was also so delighted to be reunited with the writer of the box set. Jonathan explains, it was a real treat to have the set written by It was a real treat to have a set written by Tim. We met on my audition day right back at the very beginning, and I look back on that encounter very fondly. Tim also lives up north, so we meet up occasionally and have become very good friends. He's been teasing me about what he wanted to write, so having Tim alongside to launch this next step of the War Doctor's journey feels very appropriate, but also with the War Doctor being injured, he does deteriorate at points. That gave me a great excuse to play with the energy and also the voice to really get across of how worn down he is. David had a personal highlight. Jonathan and Sam going head to head. It's breathtaking, proper, full-on thrilling drama, and Tim agrees. Sam was sensational again, and I love Jonathan's performance. Just wait for a certain scene in the third hour where they give it their absolute all. that is the Vortex segment for The War Doctor Rises Morbius the Mighty. Next up is the trailer for The War Doctor Rises Morbius the Mighty, which will be the final thing I do in this episode of the Everything podcast. Here's the trailer.
Great men fall, and the greater still will rise again.
From Big Finish Productions, The War Doctor Rises, Morbius the Mighty.
It's an old. It can't be. No galleon. These are the ships the Time Lords used to. What's it doing out here?
Wait, please. Hear what I have to say at least. I've come a long way, and it concerns the Valley.
The great tear in time that peaks at a point before the war?
It's more than a tear. It's a weeping wound, and it should be avoided at all costs.
Who's there?
These Valley forces are a mystery to us even now.
Hey, what are you?
The Doctor. He is out there, but he feels strange, sickened.
Temporal toxemia. I'm a Time Lord who can't travel in time.
3 years he's been like this.
My blood bubbles and boils if I get even a whiff of the fourth dimension.
Lord Morbius, the living legend. What a pleasure it is to meet you.
They are the Foregone, and I am their king.
All ships have locked onto the target, sir.
Now we have the perfect view.
Fire on the ship! The Doctor will surrender! On your knees and worship me!
I am the General, the true President, the rightful victor of your tiny world. I am Morbius, Lord of all.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for The War Doctor Rises Morbius the Mighty. And there will be a new War Doctor Rises box set released in December, titled Unknown Soldiers, even though it says that on the press release. It doesn't say that on the press. I don't know. Maybe they've changed it, or they just haven't updated. Anyway, let me know if you... Oh, of course, I'll be reviewing both Morbius... well, not both. It's the only thing I've talked about this episode. I will be reviewing the War Doctor Rise Morbius Mighty, but their episodes are about an hour long, so it is a long way. I will be getting to it. But in the next episode, I'm going to start off by talking about the cover for Jenny, the Doctor's Daughter, Saving Time. Yes, so that's what we've got to look forward to in the next episode. But let me know what you thought of the War Doctor Rise Morbius Mighty if you've listened to it. As well as the news. If you haven't, you put those in the comments, but as well as anything else you want to cover the channel. And remember, you can like, comment and subscribe, and that's it for this episode of the Everything Podcast. Goodbye.